Hi everyone, I'm Scott Schneider. This is Stereo Niche. Hey, this week we're going to talk about a turntable from Denon. All right, well, thanks for sticking around. This is probably not going to be a very long video. Don't have a lot to cover with turntables for the most part. I haven't done too many videos of them, but I've still not set up with some of the new acquisitions here, which are coming up. I need to go through some things and get them prepped before I talk about them. But in the meantime, I thought I would talk about one of my favorite turntables. I have 4, 5, 6 very, very nice turntables, but there's only 2 or 3 that I typically lean into and I use most often. And this is one of them. And it's actually one of the turntables I've had the longest time frame. This is a Denon DP-62L, and I acquired it about 12 years ago from the original owner. He had all the accessories. Unfortunately, he did not have the original box, so I got everything but that. It's a very straightforward table. These came out in 1982, 83 time frame, and Denon had always focused on turntables, but in this time frame, they were coming out with lots of other things, from tuners and cassette decks to receivers, and so they were really advertising those. I think their name was already synonymous with nice turntables, so they weren't really advertising them, but they were still producing them. And in this time frame, they had, I think, roughly 6 or 7 models. This was third in the line. There was above this, so this retailed for $5.95 at that time, and then there was a 72L that was $6.95, and then just above that was an 82L. The 72L, the only difference I'm aware of is that it had a slightly heavier plinth, and then can't offhand recall what the difference is on the 82L. I've not ever seen one. But the 62L is a very nice table. Almost all of them of this time frame came very well built. I think what most of us would recognize is the rosewood plinth on these, just gorgeous, and they stand out, very distinctive. And they just look to me like $1 million. When you see one, I don't think anyone doesn't appreciate how they look. You may not like the direct drive and other things, but I think we can all agree they look great. They're very. What I also like about them is that the controls are all sort of just centered around here, around the platter, and they're very straightforward. On/off switch here, a start/stop button, speeds for 33 and 45, and then a tone arm lift and up and down. And that's it. It doesn't come with anything else, doesn't do a lot of fancy things, except for, to me, one of the most necessary features, which is an automatic stop and tone arm lift, and not in that order. But they just run like sewing machines, essentially. They're very easy. As far as I'm aware, I've never had one that had any issue. So they don't seem to have much to go wrong with them. This one, they did come with accessories. They have a straight arm and an S arm and some other things that came with them, but I think additional tone arm weights for the different tone arms. There's also the anti-skate and a Q-damp feature. I've actually never had to reset them because I've not ever changed anything since I bought it from the original owner. So I haven't had to go through a setup yet. This has a Denon 103 cartridge on it, which is superb, and I've never swapped it out. So it has run continually over all these years without any issue in that time frame. I think, by the way, for me, if somebody were to ask me which vintage turntable would I recommend, I would be less inclined to tell you about a specific model and manufacturer, but more inclined to tell you to get one from the early to mid 80s time frame. And the reason for that is that I think that's when the best turntables came out. I think most of the turntable manufacturers were putting pretty much everything into those tables at that time, each model, because the CD had come out and the consumer was very much marketing and everything was going after the CD, and it was a bit of a peak for the turntable. And I think a lot of great turntables were produced in that time frame, and you can find them at a pretty decent price today. These tables, I think they run anywhere, depending on condition, of course, run anywhere from say $500 to $750 roughly. And I think you'd be very hard pressed to find a new table in that price range that's anywhere near the quality of the table that you can buy from that time frame as a vintage model. So that would be my recommendation. Denon, Technics, JVC, of course. All of them were producing some fantastic tables in that time frame. So I think that's pretty much it. Just not a lot to talk about. I think about when I think about a turntable and what to tell you. Does it sound great? It does sound great. Again, it's paired with this Denon 103 cartridge, and I've always found it to be stellar. I do pair this with my Pioneer PD91 preamp because that preamp has an exceptional phono section and it accommodates MM and MC cartridges. I do have an external preamp for this, for an MC cartridge, but I've never had to use it because I've always paired it with this particular preamp. But I just love it, and I do have the JVC that's fully automatic, but I'm still here pushing a button to get it started. I can certainly push a button, start it, and easily move the needle over. It's just not that much. What I do prefer is an automatic stylus, tone arm lift and stop at the end. To me, that's just a very necessary feature. If I step away from the turntable and it turns off, I just have that peace of mind that it'll just stop and not just continue to spin. And it's just a personal preference, but nothing wrong with a fully manual table whatsoever. So that's, I think, it for the moment. I'll give you some up-close shots now and let you see how gorgeous are these tables. And I think that'll be it for this video. If you like this, hit subscribe, and thank you for watching.